Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy. Thank you for joining us today, November 1st, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. So today, November 1st, we celebrate the Solemnity of All Saints. That's true throughout the Church Universal. Interestingly enough, though, this feast was begun at Rome in the year about 608 by Pope Boniface IV. And he instituted it in honor of Our Lady and all the saints. And since then, that feast, in honor of Our Lady and all saints, was extended to the Church at large by Gregory IV in 829. An interesting fact is that Pope Pius XII added the invocation Queen of All Saints to the Litany of the Saints after he was released from prison on May 24th, 1814. Likewise, it's also a special day in Ancona, Italy. Ancona is the capital of the Marche region. There is an image of Our Lady Queen of All Saints, sometimes also called Our Lady of St. Ciriaco, who is venerated in the cathedral where the image is housed. Now, the image was gifted to the cathedral after a miracle in 1615. A certain Captain Bartolo from Venice was out on the sea in the midst of a turbulent night storm. And as he was there, he noticed his son fall into the water. Humanly speaking, there was nothing that could be done, so he cried out to Our Lady, begging him to save his child. Well, the miracle was granted, the son was restored to the boat, and in gratitude, he ordered the image to be made and then gifted it to the church. But the story doesn't end there. On June 25th, 1796, so almost 200 years later, the image began to move and to open her eyes. Her eyes were slightly closed or slightly open in the original. And she moved her eyes for over 6 months, revealing these eyes full of compassion. Now, a year later, Napoleon I visited the image in 1797. Now, thinking it to be a trick, he decided he was going to remove some of Our Lady's jewels, some of the votive offerings. But strangely enough, in the presence of priests and many onlookers, as he laid hands on the jewels, he suddenly grew pale and shaken and ordered that the jewels be replaced. Now, what happened, what he felt inside, we don't know, he never said, but people acclaimed that Mary had opened the eyes even of the stubborn general. Likewise, today, November 1st, recalls for us the miracle of Our Lady of the Palm in Cadiz, Spain. It was on November 1st, 1755, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, that an earthquake produced a tidal wave that entered into the city. Now, elsewhere, this tidal wave created huge amounts of destruction. In Lisbon, for instance, the city was largely destroyed. At the sight of the approaching wall of water, 2 priests entered into the street with a banner of Our Lady. The water had almost reached their feet when one of them, Father Francisco Macias, firmly planted the standard with Our Lady's face and said, "Hasta aquí, madre mia," thus far, my mother. And with that, the gigantic wave simply turned back, saving the town and all of its inhabitants. For today's reading from True Devotion to Mary by St. Louis de Montfort, we continue with part 2 on the excellence of this devotion, and the second part, motives for perfect consecration. And today we'll finish the third motive. If you recall, the first motive is that it devotes us entirely to the service of God, which shows us just how great this devotion is. The second motive is that it shows us that it's just and advantageous to the Christians to give themselves entirely to Jesus through Mary. And then the third motive, we said that Mary is the mother of sweetness and mercy. She always gives more than we give her. And so on the one hand, she offers us all of her goods. And then also, it said, as by this practice we give to our Lord by his mother's hands all our good works, she purifies, embellishes, and makes those good works acceptable to her Son. So here, the fourth, this is point 149, he says, she persuades Jesus to accept these good works, however little and poor the present may be for that saint of saints and that king of kings. When we present anything to Jesus by ourselves and rely on our own industry and disposition, Jesus examines the offering and often rejects it because of the stains it has contracted through self-love. Just as of old, he rejected the sacrifices of the Jews when they were full of their own will. But when we present him anything by the pure and virginal hands of his well-beloved, we take him by his weak side, if it is allowable to use such a term. He does not consider so much the thing that is given him as the mother who gives it. He does not consider so much whence the offering comes as by whom it comes. Thus Mary, who is never repelled and always well received by her Son, makes every tilling that she presents to him, great or small, acceptable to his majesty. For Jesus to receive it and to take complacence in it, it is enough that Mary should present it. This is the great counsel which Saint Bernard used to give to those whom he had conducted to perfection. When you want to offer anything to God, take care to offer it by the most agreeable and worthy hands of Mary, unless you wish to have it rejected. And then point 150, with which we wrap up this third motive. Is not this what nature itself suggests to the little with regard to the great, as we have already seen? Why should not grace lead us to do the same thing with regard to God, who is infinitely exalted above us, and before whom we are less than atoms? Seeing, moreover, that we have an advocate so powerful that she is never refused, so full of inventions that she knows all the secret ways of gaining the heart of God, and so good and charitable that she repels no one, however little and wretched he may be. I shall bring forward presently the true figure of these truths in the history of Jacob and Rebekah.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Marian podcast. As St. John Paul II teaches us, from Mary we learn to love Christ her Son, the Son of God. Through her intercession, may we grow ever closer to Him. We encourage you to share this with a loved one or friend and help spread our devotion to Mary. Thank you, and God bless.